Hey, 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 good morning, everyone. This is Phyllis Nash. I'm one of your four co founders. So glad to be here. It's a beautiful, sunshiny day in Chicago. And I'm going to go on and get out of the way so we can bring up our dear and traveling and uh, truly internationally known motivational speaker. And we get to have him as part of our team here at Akana, pouring into us, giving us all kind of information to take and improve our lives. So I truly do recommend that you always have paper and pen, because you get nuggets here in the morning that you can use throughout your day, throughout your team's day, throughout your life, that'll take you to the next level. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you our own Coach Dan, Pastor Dan, Motivational Dan, and we get to have him here at Akana. And let me see where you are. In case, there you are. I'm going to unmute you, and I'm going to say, please take it away.
All right. Good morning. What's happening, Akana Nation? I trust and pray that all is well with all of you on this wonderful, wonderful day. It's so good to be back in the country. I really wanted to try to jump on last week, but I was dead in the midst of session, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it. But I am so grateful to be here with you on this morning. Hey, my Miss Phyllis. It's so good to hear your voice as always. Today, I hope you have your pen and your paper, because today is going to be more teaching as opposed to inspiring. It's going to be more teaching as opposed to motivation. I believe inspiration and motivation is critical when it comes to what we do. Because if we don't feel motivated to do it, we won't do it. If we're not inspired to pursue it, we won't pursue it. And so I understand the necessity of that, because most times when you're dealing with motivation, inspiration, you're really dealing with the emotional aspects that we go through as we build business and as we live this thing called life. And so if we don't feel good about something, then we probably we won't be good at that something. Let me say that one more time. Take notes. If you don't feel good about something, you're probably not going to be good at that something. Because, and so I'll just let that float as a balloon, because I want to use a majority of the time today to teach, because one of the things that we understand in this MLM industry is that we're also the MLM industry, multi-level marketing industry. We also have heard it known as the social selling. And I like to look at social selling more so from the context of relationship selling. And the reason why I want to look at it from the context of relationship selling is because of this. There's one thing to the difference, watch this, the difference between making a sale and establishing a client is relationship. The difference between making a sale and establishing a client is relationship. How are you relating to that particular individual is going to determine whether you get a sale for the day or a client for a lifetime. And I believe, I pray that this is being recorded. I believe that every person that's on this call today would prefer a client for a lifetime opposed to a sale for the day. And a lot of times you can determine whether or not you made a sale or developed a client based on when the next sale comes from that particular individual. And so it's so critical that you understand the relationship dynamic in the sales process. Because if you understand the relationship dynamic in the sales process, then what you'll begin to focus in, watch this, more on the relationship opposed to the actual sale itself. Because now the sale is evolving out of the relationship. The sale is evolving out of the relationship. And so it's critical that as you are moving, you think from the perspective, do I want to make a sale today or develop a client for a lifetime? So let's look at it. Let's understand a couple of things. Number one, the first thing that I want you to understand is this. I want you to understand that relationship selling focuses on creating long-term relationships rather than just making a sale. That's the first point I want you to understand. When we look at the health and wellness industry, you got to understand that trust and credibility is essential due to the personal nature of what it is that you are selling. You are selling components where people are putting things in their body. You're selling health, where people can look at your particular product and service as a way of life and death. All of these things is essential to understand. The next key element in understanding relationship selling is that you have to build trust and you have to build a rapport. You have to build trust. So because people will when they trust you, they're more freely willing to give to you with less scrutiny about what they're giving to you. Okay? Now, what does that mean? That means that I can take you when they feel like they can take your word on it. Y'all hear me? When they feel like they can take your word on it, literally, they'll be much easier to begin to go ahead and support you. The next thing that I want you to understand is this. I need you to understand this. I need you to understand that when you're doing relationship selling, you're going to provide a couple of things. You're going to provide value, and you're going to provide solutions. Y'all write that down. You're providing value and you're providing solutions. Value and solutions. It's very, very important. Now, not only are you going to provide value and solutions, but when you're dealing with relationship selling, you're also going to create continuous engagement of support. Continuous engagement of support. Okay? Number two, when you're doing relationship selling, it's also important to understand that you're going to have to be an active listener. Now, that's going to be a challenge for some of us because we don't like to listen when we're selling because we feel like selling means talking. Yeah, we don't like to listen when we're selling because we feel like selling means talking. But the truth of the matter is, selling doesn't mean talking. Selling means listening. And the more you listen, the more you're able, here we go, to properly position your proposition, are you hearing me, for the sale. The more you listen, the more you're posturing and positioning yourself to properly position your proposition for the sale. Does that make sense to you? And so, you have to become an active listener. You have to become an active listener. The next thing that I want you to do is, in being an active listener, you have to become a proficient interviewer. Because basically, the more questions you ask, the more they talk. The more they talk, the more they tell. And the more they tell, the more you sell. Let me say that again. The more questions they ask, the more questions you ask, the more they talk. The more they talk, the more they tell. The more they tell, the more you sell. Are you understanding? So, this is going to be critical. You have to be able to understand what's going on within that customer. And when you understand what's going on within that customer, you're able to do two things. You're able to show empathy, care, concern, understanding. And the next thing that you're able to do is you're able to develop a personal connection. When you're doing relationship selling, let me tell you something. I learned this. I learned who I had true intimate relationships with. If you're the only person that's telling all your business, and you're the only person that's being vulnerable, then you probably are not establishing a relationship. So one of the things that you will have to do, or I recommend you do, is that there's a bit of transparency that you have. There's a bit of transparency that you have. And this transparency allows you to develop a more personal, deeper, intimate connection with the individual that you are just talking to. Okay? So that means you share some of your pains. You share some of your desires. You share some of your fears. You share relatable stories and experiences that will allow the two of you to connect on a personal level. The next thing that you must understand in relationship selling is consistency and reliability. Be consistent in your communication and follow through on your promises. One of the things I've been screaming at my team about, because we're moving at a rapid pace, we're building fast. I'm probably moving more faster than my team, and it's becoming a challenge because my team cannot keep up with what I'm saying is going to happen. So I'm shifting and moving people around, letting people go, hiring new people. Why? Because whenever you say out of your mouth, it establishes that you don't do, destroys your credibility. And eventually people are not going to be excited about what you say anymore because you're not doing it. I hope you're getting this. So you got to be consistent. Y'all hear me say this all the time. Do the right thing consistent enough, long enough, and it'll eventually be enough. The next thing is maintain, watch this, your professionalism while being also personal. What does that mean? Don't trade professionalism for being personal. Let me explain that a little bit more. If I have to stay as the expert in the conversation. You have to maintain integrity as the expert. You are the expert in the room. And when you posture and position yourself as the expert, don't lose that positioning while being personal. Okay? Very, very, very important. And so now let's move on because I only got a few more minutes. So when you provide value, we talked about providing value and providing personalized solutions. There's a couple of approaches that I want you to follow. Number one, I want you to follow the tailored approach. This approach for me has been the approach that has allowed me to do millions of dollars in sales throughout my sales career. And even though I don't have a job, I don't work for anybody, the truth of the matter is, to this day, I use the tailor approach, the tailor-made approach. What does that mean? That means you don't come with everything. A lot of times we think that if we come and let them know everything we got, it's going to increase our ability to sell. No, you present to them based on what their need and desires are, based on what you've learned during the conversation of development of relationship. Customize what you are presenting to them based on what their needs and desires are. Okay? The second approach is the educational approach. This is where you're speaking to the intellect. and you begin to educate the client on how what you have to offer addresses their specific health needs and wellness goals. This is where the expert really comes out, because now you're providing. This is where content comes. You want to know how to blow up on social media? Provide content that people are need and looking for. If your content looks like everybody else, you're probably going to be stuck in the middle somewhere. Provide content that is helpful. The next piece that I'm going to give you, and I'm going to get ready to close this out, is you want to maintain continuous engagement and support. Listen, if you're not relating to the people on a consistent basis, then you don't have a relationship. You have to relate in order to have a relationship. How does that look like? What does that look like? I'm gonna call it F squared. Follow up and feedback. Follow up and feedback. You want to consistently follow up, and you want to consistently get feedback as to how whatever it is that you're offering them is working for them. This gives you an opportunity for the upsell. Well, I'm losing weight, but I don't have energy. Well, I got something for that. Well, I got energy, but I'm not losing a lot of weight. Well, I got something for that. You see what I'm saying? But you'll never know if you don't follow up, because you got excited about making a sale, but you never developed a client. Then what you want to do is you want to constantly request that feedback so you'll know how to become better. I'm always asking this question: what can I do to make your day brighter, your load lighter? What can I do to be better? How can I serve you? The next thing in continuous engagement and support, you want to build a community. That's why I shared with you guys one time when I talked about leadership. I said sometimes you got to take ownership of your own leadership. You got to build your own community within the community. And in order to build your own community within the community, you have to stay engaged. How do you do that? You stay engaged through your own, blessed branches. To me, blessed branches should have, if they don't have, they should have their own social media private Facebook group. Wow. Contagious or Terry Anderson, any one of you leaders, you should have your own group that you are building. Well, we're building within the bigger group. I understand, but within the bigger group, there's not a lot of relationships. You can build that. I mean, I'm talking about the intimate relationships. And so those are some of the things that you want to do. And then you want to engage them, like I said, on a consistent basis. You want to become long-term, because as you become develop them to become a long-term client, you'll always have them to make a sale to. So, listen, I'm going to stop right there. I hope that you took some copious notes. I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope that you will take the notes that you took and apply it immediately. Don't wait till tomorrow. Apply it today. Don't look for the sale. Look for the client, and you'll get the sale. All right, I'm going to stop there. Miss Phyllis, come on, Miss Midwife. I'll pass it back to you.
I'm here. We thank you so much. It's always and always will be about relationship and social selling. That's why it's called social selling. Lifelong relationships are built. I'm talking to a relationship right now. Dan Johnson, how did we get together? We built a relationship over, 16, 17 years ago in a social selling company that has lasted and stood the test of time. So it's about relationships. So thank you so much for bringing that back to us and all the nuggets you dropped today. Dr. Betty, if you're on the line, if you'd like to announce what your call is about tonight so they can get guests on the line, we'd love for you to do so. Yeah, let me see if I see you. I don't see you, but the call will be tonight, guys. Get your guests on there. And what's the word? Go out and push. See you back here tomorrow morning with our own amazing Dr. Rob. Bye now. Thank you, Dan.